Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about the basics of the differences between silicone and saline implants. Someone had asked me on Instagram, and I feel like I tend to deep dive and talk about things that I really need to start zooming out and just focusing on like the big picture, the 30,000 foot view, and that's been kind of hard lately for some reason, which I don't know why. So this is a great question to get me out of the weeds and to talk about what is the difference between saline and silicone? Such a good question. So here it is. Silicone and saline both have a silicone shell. They're exactly the same on the outside. It's the inside that's different. So with the saline implant, it's filled with a sterile saltwater solution called saline. Like if you go to the hospital and you get a saline drip, you know, when they first hook you up, that is sterile saltwater solution. That is saline. That is what's going into the implant for a saline implant. Now for a silicone implant, what you get is what you get. It's completely silicone on the inside. What I mean by what you get is what you get is like with a saline, it starts with an empty shell, so you can put as much in it or as little in it as that's reasonable for that implant size. But it starts out as a shell. It's empty. You place it into the body empty, and then you fill it up once it's in the body. With a silicone, it comes pre-filled from the manufacturer. Like when you open the box, when it comes to the surgical center, it is already there. Silicone's in it. It's ready to go. Sometimes an incision will be slightly larger with a silicone implant because it's already pre-filled. And with a saline, it's going to be slightly smaller because it's empty. So you can like fold the bag up, I guess. I don't know how it works. But the bag, it's empty, so you can just put it in, place it, and then put in the saline solution. So that is kind of an overview of the differences of saline and silicone. One other thing, saline tends to be firmer than a silicone implant. Silicone is kind of known for feeling most like breast tissue. So if your overall aesthetic goal is to have the most natural feeling breast implant, you want to go for silicone. Now, if you have a lot of breast tissue to start with that's going to be covering the implant, then saline or silicone is a good option because your breast tissue is going to be covering the implant, so it's going to feel like a natural breast. For those who start out with not very much body fat, like if they're very thin, they don't have any breast tissue, saline might not be the best option because you could see rippling, which is when the saline, I hate to call it a bag, but the saline implant folds over on itself, and you can see like little ripples. If your skin's too thin, you don't have breast tissue to cover the implant, you might see rippling. But the same can be said for silicone, but it's not as common as a saline implant when you have more thin skin. If you put both under the muscle, it reduces the risk of seeing rippling because you're going under the muscle, so you have something covering it. But yeah, there are so many reasons and ways and whys that you would choose one over the other, and it's totally different for everybody. Silicone is a popular option. There are lots of different what's called cohesiveness, like squishiness. Some are more firm, some are real squishy, some are more form stable. Like there's a lot of variables that go into a silicone implant, whereas with the saline, it's just a saline implant. There is a new one called the Ideal implant that has come out about 3 years ago, which has been a great option for some women, but that's about it. You have like the old saline, that's just a saline implant. It's like a silicone shell with saline. And then the Ideal implant, which is a little more, I guess, advanced for a saline implant, which is kind of cool. I deep dove on the Ideal implant on a different video, so you can go check that out. But there's not as many options with saline. There are a lot of options with silicone. So it's just really what's important to you. Is it squishiness? Is it ruptures? Is it, everyone's different. And there's no right or wrong reason. So that is I guess that's a pretty okay overview of saline and silicone. If you have questions, please leave it below. I always check to see if I have questions, or you can find me on Instagram at Eden Knows Implants, or you can email me at eden@edenknowsimplants.com. Thank you.